Last week we determined that the recently leaked Doom game titled Doom Year Zero was likely cancelled before it got past the concept stage. While some people may find this to be pretty disappointing, I personally see this as the perfect opportunity to give Doom a well-deserved rest and bring back another iconic id Software franchise, that being Quake. It's always fun to speculate about the possibility of a new entry in the Quake franchise, but today I wanted to take the time to analyze the evidence we currently have to see if we can determine if a new Quake game is currently in development. We know that it's definitely possible since game director Hugo Martin has previously stated that the id Software team is exhausted from creating 2 Doom games back to back, implying that they're ready to move on to something else temporarily. Commander Keen and Rage definitely aren't their most popular franchises, and Machine Games still owns Wolfenstein, so we're pretty much down to either Quake or a brand new IP. They have recently decided to remodel the Slayers Club by removing all of the Doom related marketing and expanding their coverage to include all id Software titles in an effort to quote-unquote prepare for the battles ahead, and considering how they already created content for the original Quake remaster before this update, the site change was definitely meant for more than just news articles on the Quake remasters. Removing all Doom-related marketing from the site and rebranding it as the official id Software fan club and not just the go-to place for all things Doom is a very bold move that definitely suggests that they're moving away from the franchise, so the chances of getting anything other than a new IP or a Quake game are currently pretty slim. While it is entirely possible that they decide to create something new, I really don't think they would start another IP before bringing back one of the most iconic FPS franchises in history. It just wouldn't make sense. Some have theorized that they could be working on a Heretic or a Hexen reboot, but Microsoft didn't start finalizing the Activision Blizzard deal until over a year after id Software started working on their next project, so that's definitely not happening anytime soon. Since most things are either extremely unlikely or completely out of the picture, I personally think that a new Quake game will most likely be the next project we see from id Software, and I think that the recent remasters are proof of that. Both Quake and Quake 2 Remastered have been incredibly successful not only in terms of revenue, but in getting modern audiences interested in the franchise. While Quake still has tons of dedicated fans that enjoy the series, the modern Doom community and casual audiences weren't incredibly familiar with the brand, so the 2 remasters were used to reintroduce both the Lovecraftian and Trog sides of the franchise, all while generating more hype and revenue in the process. We now have a lot of people that would be interested in playing a new single-player Quake game from id Software, which is exactly what they would need if they were rebooting the franchise, since it's a lot easier to get people excited for something they're familiar with. They even included the Ranger Slayer skin as a bonus item for purchasing the Quake remaster, which incentivizes Doom Eternal fans to give the game a try. It all works out perfectly. Something they've also done is make efforts to connect the games in a more cohesive manner. The new Quake 2 expansion Call of a Machine features multiple shamblers in the final level, which does imply that the first 2 games now take place in the same universe. Quake Champions has also made efforts to connect every game in the franchise, but a lot of people aren't familiar with Champions and its lore, so it makes more sense to use the remasters as a way to tie everything together. I think the recent efforts made to connect the franchise could imply that they plan on including both themes in the next game and want the newer fans to be prepared. Quake has a big focus on dimension hopping, so it would absolutely make sense if Ranger interacted with a Strogg in their dimension at some point in a future Quake game. id Software is definitely up for a Quake game with dimension hopping and Lovecraftian monsters, as Doom Eternal and its proposed sequel already include these elements. Eternal has a pretty heavy focus on jumping from one dimension to the next. You end up visiting Earth, Hell, Urdak, and the Sentinel homeworld all in one campaign, so they're definitely not scared of taking the player to new places. The second level of the game goes from the ruins of a Sentinel village to an abandoned battleground in Hell. That level of dimension hopping would fit perfectly in a Quake game. Hugo Martin has previously made comments on the direction that they would like to take the Doom franchise when they pick it back up again, stating that the Maker race will evolve into Cthulhu-like monsters since the Father's Lifesphere is no longer there to keep them from transforming. If they're open to including Lovecraftian monsters in the next game and dimension hopping in Eternal, I think it's safe to say that they'd be more than willing to explore the world of Quake in the not so distant future. And while we're on the topic of Doom Eternal, I think it's pretty important to mention that Eternal officially established the Doom multiverse. There's quite a bit of information provided in the official art book that explains Eternal's multiverse elements. It's a little complex, but the general idea is that Vega can observe and analyze different universes where other Slayers exist, and he can project this data onto the Slayer to transform his appearance, which is the canon explanation for the cosmetics in Eternal. This means that every skin in the game is a real version of a Slayer from a different universe, and it implies that every id Software game takes place in the same multiverse as well. With this in mind, I don't think it would be surprising if they decided to officially connect Doom and Quake through the newly established multiverse. The existence of the Ranger Slayer skin means that the Doom Slayer ended up becoming Ranger in some universe, so really anything is possible. Maybe somewhere in the multiverse there's a universe where the next id Software game releases on all platforms, but that's unfortunately not this universe, as whatever they release next will certainly be limited to Xbox and PC platforms. The recent leaks from Microsoft's Activision Blizzard court documents confirm that The Elder Scrolls 6 will be an Xbox exclusive, and they currently intend for every game that's not a remaster or a re-release to become exclusive as well, including everything made by id Software. Pre-existing franchises like Doom or Spider-Man should never be forced onto a single platform regardless of who owns the IP, but I can definitely see them doing this with Quake. They've given everyone a taste of a franchise with the remasters, and they will likely use that to their advantage to get more people to switch over to Xbox platforms so that they can experience the next entry in the series. Quake hasn't had an extremely strong presence since the early 2000s, and the last original entry was a PC exclusive, so they'll have no problem limiting all future releases to their own platforms. But the big question still remains, is id Software currently working on a Quake game? I obviously can't confirm anything, but I think the information we currently have suggests that yes, we are getting another entry in the Quake franchise sometime in the near future. id Software is ready to try something new. They've rebranded the Slayers Club to remove the Doom marketing. The incredibly successful Quake remasters have introduced the franchise to a brand new audience. Doom is starting to include more elements from Quake, and the new Xbox exclusivity deal would work better for something that isn't Doom. Everything is lining up perfectly. After taking everything into consideration, I'm personally betting on a new Quake game, but it's definitely smart to wait until they give us 100% solid confirmation. We'll still be getting tons of Quake content in the meantime. Quake 2 Remastered just got an update, and Doom is currently doing a crossover with Doritos and Mountain Dew. Click on the video that's on screen now to learn more. Thank you all so much for watching today's video. I hope you enjoyed it. Pretty much all that I have for now, though. Until next time.